And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we are going to talk about the 4 stages of life for the modern woman. And we're talking about it in terms of a man, okay? A lot of modern women will say that they don't need a man, okay? However, from my experience, the happiest women are those that have good men in their lives. Okay, now you can debate on what the definition of a good man is, but let's just talk about those 4 stages and then we'll run through some thoughts and ideas and philosophies during the video. Number 1. As a girl, as a teenager, a woman needs a father. This is the man that she needs at the time. She needs a father figure, someone who can love her unconditionally, someone who can be there for her when she's hurt, someone who can be there for provision, for protection, to make sure that she's safe, guarded, and protected, okay, and to make sure that she is happy throughout her entire childhood and teenage years, okay? It is crucial that a father is available for her to have that. You could actually say that those women that don't have that luxury, so to speak, is at a massive disadvantage from a happiness standpoint, from a peace standpoint, from events that will occur throughout her life standpoint, than a woman that does not have the access to a father figure during her childhood and her teenage years. There are many women these days that don't have access to a proper father figure in those early years. And unfortunately, because men have very often ceased to be men in this day and age, and fathers have ceased to be fathers as well, you end up getting tons of women who grow up without a father. This is a huge, massive, gigantic problem. Probably one of the biggest problems in society today. I would say that it's also extremely important for boys to be raised by masculine men as well, which is also not happening. So it's a double problem, okay, on a large scale. This is what we're trying to tackle with the Men of High Value channel and the Women of High Value channel, explaining how the world works and why the root cause of the problems that we see are from the family structure not working optimally. So stage number 1 of the modern woman's life is not a very good one, from the standpoint of if she does not have a father figure she can look up to. And a lot of women, if not most, do not have that. The fathers that are there, maybe they're still married, they're still raising their kids, etc., etc. But then when the girls get to their teenage years, very often those fathers have a massive laissez-faire, okay, attitude. Meaning that they have no protection whatsoever over their daughters. Their daughters are like 14 and 15 and 16 and are allowed to be on the town during the weekends with boys and start drinking. Like, what the heck is up with that? Okay? This is not girls' fault. This is not, teenage girls, oh, they shouldn't have been doing that and they should know better, all that stuff. This is completely and 100% based upon the father's neglect an inability to be there for his daughter when she needed him. Not only the neglect that happened, but the fact that she even has a need or a desire to do those things shows of his lack of presence in her life. Okay? Him being scared of talking to her. Him being scared of setting rules and limitations. Him being scared that, the wife is going to be angry with him if he puts his foot down on certain things that are necessary for his daughter's protection during those years. Okay, and then of course, there's girls in their teenage years rebel anyway because if a father doesn't understand how to communicate with women, he doesn't understand women, and so you get the problems anyway. Okay, no matter how good of a father he tries to be, teenagers very often rebel. It's only because of his lack of ability to understand women and lack of actually giving them what they needed in their childhood. Which leads us to step number 2, or stage number 2. We see that stage number 1 was quite important, leads us to step number 2. The worse a woman's experience is in stage number 1, the faster she will move towards stage number 2. Stage number 2 is a woman's need for a sexual partner. A male sexual partner very often is what a woman in her teenage years will seek out. The better stage 1 is in a woman's life, in a girl's life, the longer it will take, okay? Like her teenage years will be better and it will go longer before she begins to seek out sexual partners. Okay? So we want stage 1 to work. Why? Because stage 2, the earlier it happens, the worse this girl's life becomes. Okay? From a standpoint of burden, unwanted pregnancies, STDs, issues with the boyfriend, emotional attachment that ends up going nowhere, neglect, being sexually rejected by her boyfriend, being broken up with, drugs, alcohol, all those things very often become the norm for girls who had issues in stage 1. So we're reinforcing again how crucial step 1 is, because the better it is in stage 1, the easier transition it becomes to move towards stage 2. The healthier stage 2 is going to be. The happier she's going to be in stage 2, okay? So it is a very big issue, as you can see, because the lack of proper nurturing, so to speak, and protection and provision that she gets in her stage 1, the root foundation of her setting up her family structure becomes eroded, becomes destroyed from the aspect of stage 1 not working out. Because right now, like preferably, all high-value men would preferably be with women that have as less sexual history as possible. Okay? The less sexual history a woman has, the less emotional baggage she has, the less trauma she has, the more probable she has had a good relationship with her father. Okay? Which causes her to be more in her feminine sphere if her father was in a masculine kind of attitude and lifestyle. The daughter most probably will be feminine, or in other words, as we call it on this channel, unburdened. So she'll be unburdened, she'll move into stage 2, the more unburdened she is, the less problems she has, the less emotional baggage, the less sexual partners she's had, the higher value man she's going to be able to get. And higher value in terms of what? In terms of provision and protection, of course. In terms of her being attracted to him, and in terms of that relationship most probably working out. And why is it crucial, by the way, that we need families to work out? Because that sets us up for the next generation, and then the next generation, and then the next generation of boys and girls growing up to form what we hope to be functional families. Society is predicated upon functional families working out. If families do not work out, society crumbles and we receive a massive collapse of massive proportions that could have been prevented if the family had actually been working out. Okay? So we're literally fixing this that we're doing on these 2 channels. Fixing this will literally solve every single problem under heaven. Okay? Every single problem in our universe will be solved the moment we begin to understand the male and female dynamic that we teach. You understand that one, you understand the woman, you'll understand the world. Now we're understanding what's happening to girls throughout their lives. Stage 2, the modern woman enters into it. Maybe she manages to hold off until 16. Whew, if she manages to do that, that's great, okay? And some manages to wait until 18. Great, amazing, even better, okay? Some even manage to hold on later than that, and very often that's against their will, okay? In terms of because they want one, but they can't get one probably. And then you have those that actually manage to get together with their partners and stick with those partners for life, even though they were virgins, okay, when they got together with that partner, okay? Preferably, what would be the best optimal scenario? It would be that they stay virgins, okay, not sexually involved or emotionally involved with any guy until she eventually finds the one that she ends up being with for life. That's the optimal scenario for society to work, for families to function, okay? If you don't want society to work, okay, then don't listen to me. If you don't want families to work, then don't care what I say, okay? But if you want that, then I highly recommend that you stick around, subscribe, like, and begin to understand this information. It's crucial because you are setting up your future children's lives by the way that you prepare right now. And by understanding what happened to you throughout your childhood and adulthood and your teenage years, etc. Okay. So, but the vast majority of the time, the modern woman does not enter into lifelong commitment with her man, her chosen one, as a virgin. Those are the relationships that work out the most. Those are the relationships that are the best in the structure that we have today. But the vast majority of women don't do that. What do? Between the ages of all the way down to 11 years old, okay, you hear about mothers in Britain and all crazy stuff, okay, happening, which is crazy, but from 11 years old all the way up until whenever the age is, they start having sex with men that they're not committed to for life. Okay. So what is the problem with that? Is there a problem with that? Absolutely. There's huge problems with that. Okay. The problem is, first of all, they need it. Stage 1 didn't work out very well. The faster they'll need to enter into a sexual relationship with the guy. This is not by choice. This is according to a woman's nature seeking out a man to do what? To alleviate her of her problems. The more burdens, the more problems she has, the more she's going to seek out a guy for comfort, for validation, for leadership, for boundaries, for helping her to actually progress throughout her teenage years, but also for sex, because she desires instant gratification and pleasure because her problems are so huge, okay? Like when she is in love with the high value man in her teenage years and she can, it's the first time she's in love maybe. And it's amazing and it's wonderful and she's never felt more better than ever, etc., etc. And because the guy that she's with probably has no idea what he's doing, but most of the time they're bad boys, right? Those are the guys that actually get the girls emotionally and sexually involved in the teenage years, which causes even more sorts of problems, okay? Because that's going to make her suffer even more. Because those guys end up not caring and then moving on to more girls and then moving on to more girls and moving on to more girls, not knowing what it actually does to women because they've never been taught what actually happens. They don't know this stuff. They're teenagers. They just have their hormones running wild and, trying to get laid continuously on a daily basis, okay? So you'll always get those problems. So as a result, the modern woman, let's say she gets, she has her first sexual encounters at 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever the age might be. And then I've spoken about this before in the Casual Sex is Russian Roulette for Women video, where two options happen, or three options. One of those. Okay, where basically she either has a good experience, or a bad experience, okay? But no matter what, it will eventually lead to bad experiences. Even if it was a good experience. If it was a good experience, it's even worse. Because she'll be emotionally attached to that guy. And if that guy's a bad guy, then that guy will probably leave her behind, which causes her to be heartbroken massively. Because she had a good sexual experience. Okay? Do you see how horrible that is? And now if she is left behind completely and he never comes back, very often they do come back temporarily and then they leave out of their lives again, okay? But if he doesn't ever come back, she'll pine for this guy for a long period of time until she finds another guy that's better than that guy, okay? So there'll be a sort of serial monogamy going on even in a woman's teenage years, which causes depression, which causes issues, causes all of the other stuff that you've seen it, you've experienced it, okay? And it can be avoided. But they can't do it. They can't avoid it. This is why I teach 100% ownership and responsibility to men, because they're responsible for women sleeping around with guys in their teenage years. If men never initiated sexual relationships with women during a woman's teenage years, she wouldn't get laid. No woman would lose their virginity in high school if men never initiated, okay? But that doesn't happen. That's not reality, because boys do. So maybe we should mix them, should we? Okay? Another reason why you shouldn't go to school. So, that's stage number 2. A woman seeking a sexual partner. And why does she seek it out? Because the more problems she has, the faster she's going to seek it out. The less problems she has, the longer it's going to go before she seeks it out. But that actual the aspect of sexual need is going to grow stronger and stronger and stronger because of her evolutionary need to become a mother, but also to seek the protection of a man, to leave her father, because she's not supposed to be on the house of her father for long periods of time. Okay, past her being an adult. That's not normal. Okay, there's tons of women that do that, but they end up, it's not really a good thing when women stick around in the same household as their father, their mother, and are part of this household forever, in my opinion. But, it's not really good for her to be single and living alone in an apartment either. So what do? The preferable way would be if she has, the transfer from stage 1 to stage 2 and then sticking in stage 2 for a long time or for forever. And then that transition happens early on in life, okay? And I'm talking now 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old would be a fantastic time to commit for life with a high-value man, in my opinion. So, stage 2 can also be called need a man, can't get a man. Because there's tons of women that want to get laid, but then they can't. But these days, it's become easier and easier and more socially acceptable for women to get a man, even though, but at the same time, they do it behind closed doors and Tinder and all that stuff that's going on. Oh my gosh. Stage number 3. Because a woman becomes sexually rejected and has, horrible experiences in her teenage years, very often they regret what they've done. And they feel bad about all the things that they've done. Sometimes they don't, because they just continue to live the lifestyle because that's what's normal to them in the circle that they're around. But if they really look back and see, I wish I had not done it with this guy and this guy and this guy, you'll begin to find that 80 to 100% of the guys she'll regret having been with, okay? Women want to find the one. They don't want failure in relationships. Okay? So, wouldn't it be amazing if they could find the one and that relationship was amazing forever? That's what we want to teach. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to create with this channel. Okay, but stage number 3 is, because of all the failures, she comes to the point of, I don't need a man. This is the independence phase, or the free agent lifestyle phase, if you want to call it that. Women have that in their teenage years as well, if they've been sexually rejected and they enjoy the sexual lifestyle and the options that they have, okay? I usually term it as if a woman during her early or her late teenage years, in her early 20s, she's going to have riches or abundance in terms of guys wanting to be with her, okay? So this is the time of life where she can choose from the top shelf, so to speak, the higher, the more she has the things that guys want, so to speak, okay? Now, men don't have that in their teenage years. They're quite low on the things that women find sexually attractive, right? So women very often want older boys during their teenage years, and also in their early 20s, they want older guys. And they kind of want that mostly, the vast majority of the time, that's what women want long term. But men, they don't have that abundance. They develop that abundance over time as they grow their skills, they grow their provision ability, their protection ability, etc. over time. So they age very well, so to speak, in terms of attraction with women. But women, they go on the decline from the time, when they're most fertile, 20 to 22 years old is the time when they're at their peak in terms of fertility and in terms of beauty of what men want, okay? So You see that going in the opposite direction. But during that time when she has that, abundance time, so to speak, she doesn't need a man. And she doesn't need anyone because she's been with guys that have rejected her, and she now either just continues to sleep around with guys, or she just, or she can't get one. Okay? So because she can't get one, she now rejects basically men completely, except when she really wants a guy and she keeps it in secret, okay, so that no one sees that she's actually sexually involved with whatever it is. But over time, she has that independence mindset of, I don't need a man. Stage 3 would never, ever, ever happen if stage 2, or if stage 1 actually worked, but also if stage 2 with the neglect didn't happen. Okay? Now, obviously, if stage 2 worked, meaning she actually got a man and kept him for life, obviously stage 3 wouldn't happen. But if stage 2, in terms of the guy that she gets, if it doesn't work, that's the only time that stage 3 would happen. That's why women want to be independent. It's a natural result and the cause of men screwing them over in their teenage years. That's it. Women don't choose this. You didn't choose to want to be independent. It's a lack of trust in men. Lack of trust in your father, lack of trust in the sexual partners that you've had in the past, and you being sexually rejected over time, that causes you to feel that I don't need a man, I don't want a man, I can take care of my own needs, I want to have my own salary, I want to work, blah, 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 blah. And it's a very sad situation to not want a man because you've been screwed over. Because if you hadn't been screwed over, you'd want a man. And you'd be happier than you are when you're independent. And you might be happy during your independent years as well for a period of time, although there's a lot of problems happening during that time as well. So what ends up happening? Well, at some point, let's say you become 30 years old, 32, 34, whatever it is. You begin to go on the decline, okay, so to speak. You've heard it. Women hit the wall, okay, so to speak. Which is not your fault, right? You've come up to this point, and now you are seeing your friends getting married and getting hitched and having children, and you're just like, ooh, I need that as well. So you're environmental, right? You're an environmental creature, which causes you to now also wanting to settle down, which is, and you try to find a guy who has the same mindset as you, etc., and you end up finding the best possible guy that you can get who shows interest in you and wants to commit to you for life. And you settle down. And you're attracted to him, but that's not the most important thing. You want to settle down. That's the most important thing. Because you want security, that you've got provision, you got protection, and you've got a man, because there's been some droughts here and there sexually, and there's, and it's good to have companionship throughout your life, and you don't want to be single forever. And you also know that your eggs are not going to last forever, and you want kids, so you need to settle down. That's stage 4 for you, where you settle down, and settling, unfortunately, is not the optimal state that you could have had. Yes, this video is kind of depressing. I understand, okay? But we got to understand what happened so we can prevent that for our children. And we got to understand what happened so we also understand ourselves so that we can, flourish towards the relationships that we do desire in our future, right? So, what's recommend? Well, let me just mention one more thing here. Once she settles down in stage 4, does that mean that that's going to last forever? Obviously not. More than half, in my opinion, of all relationships that happen where a woman settles, she gets a divorce, right? Or she's emotionally divorced but still together with the man that she's married to. Horrible, I know, but that's the situation we're in. That's the world, that's the family relationships that we have in the current system of monogamy. What happens? Well, she goes back to stage 3. She divorces the guy because it's so painful to stay living with this guy, and it's depressing as hell. And so she goes back to stage 3, and now she's in the independence, free agent lifestyle again. And she kind of enjoys it for a little bit, but then she's like, yeah, I kind of need a man again, and I want to settle down again. And she finds another guy. And then you begin the mixed families and the serial monogamy happening. And then she goes between 3 and 4, 3 and 4, maybe a couple of times. This is the modern woman's lifestyle. Is that the lifestyle you want? You can't help it. Men have to step up and do a better job in stage 1 and stage 2. That's it. Okay? If men do their job in stage 1 and stage 2, everything will be different. So we need men to rise up and become the best men that they can possibly become, because as a natural result of that, women will naturally avoid stage number 3 and 4, okay? Because they already fixed it in stage 1 and stage 2, and in stage 2, they will never, ever, ever be left behind, because men don't leave women behind. Masculine men, that is. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you guys got some epiphany, some thoughts from this. Maybe, comment down below what your experiences are, your specific thoughts around this subject. But how, again, just repeating, the optimal way for a woman to find her happiness and joy forever and ever is, 1, she needs a father figure in her life in her childhood years who provides, who protects, who makes sure that her lifestyle is one of being unburdened, so that she can be feminine. And if she's feminine and she lives a carefree lifestyle, she's happy, she's excited, she gets the things that she needs and wants, and then she will enter into stage 2 with the help of her father, finding the right guy, so that she can stay in stage 2 forever with the right guy, okay? If you have not checked out the rest of my channel, I highly recommend it. I talk a little bit more about monogamy and the alternative lifestyle that we recommend for you to investigate and study out. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next one.